Buckeye Talk back with our game predictions for Ohio State against Tulsa on Saturday at Ohio Stadium. It's a 3:30 kickoff. I'm Nathan Baird from cleveland.com. I'm here with Doug Lesmerises and Stephen Means. The spread as of the time that we are recording this is 24.5 points. It was 31 when it very first opened, dropped very quickly to like 27 within almost no time, and has kind of continued to dwindle all week. And I don't know if that's the doubts that are out there about Ohio State's defense. I don't know if people think the Tulsa-Oklahoma score gives them more confidence in Tulsa, but 24.5 points is where we are right now. I'm going to go first. I'm taking Ohio State 53-10. So they would cover. They would also go over the total of 61 that's there right now. And I don't really have I didn't do a bunch of mathematical equations to come to that. I kind of feel like this is just a week where Tulsa is not that good. Ohio State, regardless of what you saw last week, is going to have a big talent advantage. And on top of that, I think they're in kind of prove it mode. I think they have to go out and prove it to – there's some pride involved here to bounce back from last week. I think they've also got to prove some things to themselves too. As much as I feel like they sort of need to experiment a little bit this week, both in personnel and scheme and strategy and things like that, I think they're also going to come out and emphasize the things that they do the best and kind of flatten Tulsa a little bit and roll it into the second half. So I'm going 53-10, one of the more hyperbolic scores that I picked so far. Steven, what is your pick?
58-24. The 58 points is because this offense needs to come out and start scoring again, just flat out. 28 points is just not enough for this offense that, quite frankly, should be scoring 40-plus every single week. I think they need to come out and establish that again. You might see them be ultra-aggressive in the first half with it. Maybe establish the run game early, get some of those deep shots in as well. Just get CJ's numbers done in the first half, something similar to what we saw consistently in 2019 with Justin, where he might have 20 passes in a half, just because you're not going to require much of him in the second half, so you might see a lot of that stuff. While the 24 points is, there's going to be some new guys in new positions. I think that's fair to say. That's somewhere on this defense, and it might not always look pretty because guys are playing a position that they just learned for the first time on Monday. So take that into account. But then also between this week and next week, there's going to come a point where Ohio State's going to play a lot of its second-tier guys just because it's a chance to get those guys snaps, and these games are going to be decided. So whether that's this week or next week, I'm going to bank on it being this week. And what that means is at some point your second and third stringers are going to give up points. That's just how it works all the time, which is why it's always interesting when you have a chance to get a shutout and your third stringers are in, can they hold the fort down there. I'm expecting the first string to give up some points. I'm expecting the second string to maybe give up something late while the offense just kind of gets back to its regular scheduled programming. So 58-24.
That would be a combined 82, so going way, way over the projected total of 61. Doug, what is your pick?
I basically agree with everything you guys said, but yet I wind up taking Tulsa with the points because my score was 48-24 and Tulsa's getting 24.5. And I don't know that that's a great with purpose that I did that, but I don't feel terrible about it because if you think Tulsa's going to score 24, then Ohio State's got to get 50 to cover, basically. I guess they get 49. That's 7 touchdowns. It's like 24 is kind of a lot of points, right? I mean, and I do think that's a reasonable amount for them to give up. I don't think you magically change this defense to the point where you're starting to throw shutouts at Tulsa. They've got a couple guys. They've got a couple running backs. Their quarterback, I think, is inexperienced and a little hesitant, I think. They have, you can see it on both sides. They've got some guys who can fly around. So sort of by accident, I'm taking Tulsa plus 24.5, 48-24 Buckeyes. That is over. But again, it's just hard. I mean, I feel like our betting advice, we talk much more about the betting stuff on the Buckeye Talk podcast. To some extent, it feels like maybe it's just like Ohio State's a stay away all year because we don't have a handle on them and we have not done very well with our picks so far. No. So I might go find somebody else to bet on. That way, if you're an Ohio State fan and you're pulling your hair out, at least you're not pulling money out of your wallet while you're pulling out your hair, So just watch this thing and cross your fingers if the defense is better, but I'm not so sure it's going to be instantaneous.
I think everybody's watching this game to see, maybe get a sense of where this defense really is. And I think that's hard to do in some ways because it's an opponent like Tulsa, but maybe in other ways, if you come out and really hold them down, then maybe it does. Maybe it does give you more indication that this is a defense that's able to dominate when it should. I'm looking back at 2018, the last time they had like a demonstrably bad defense. They gave up 31 points in season opener to Oregon State, so that's not great. But they're also like only giving up 6 when they beat Tulane at home. So, like, even in a year like that, there's a range, and I'm kind of curious which side of the range this Ohio State team comes down on. Get the text 614-350-3315. Obviously, there's a lot of speculation out there right now about exactly what Ohio State's coaching staff is going to look like and how they're going to be used on Saturday. There's going to be questions about personnel. We're going to be texting about all of that stuff when we find things out, but it was especially pregame on Saturday from the stadium with Buckeye Talk.